Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We have little Dawson joining us today. I thought I'd be able to pop through this video, no problem, but it's just one of those days. Babies want to be held, they're fussy, they're tired, they're cranky, and so am I. So bear with me if I have a hard time putting my words together today. I'm going on very, very little sleep. So anyways, I said I would share our experience at the NICU, like the hospital NICU and everything there. So I delivered the boys at 37 weeks and 2 days. Our first baby, twin A, came out, so Dawson here, he came out 5 pounds 12 ounces, and twin B was 4 pounds 11 ounces. So right after delivery and everything, as I shared in my last video, the blood sugar was low on our twin B, so he did have to go over to the NICU pretty much right away. So that's where he was staying for the night. The nice thing is they were so amazing at the hospital. They let us go and see him anytime we wanted to. They even offered to like take your bed over there, you know, if you had a C-section or something like that, or you still couldn't walk from your epidural. I didn't have to, of course. By the time we went over, we were kind of settled in. I was totally fine to walk, and we got to go see our little man in the NICU. I do have footage and everything from that, but I decided not to share it on this video just because it can be kind of triggering for some. So we went back to our room after, got settled in again, we went to bed. They were doing vitals on our first baby Dawson here, and his heart was actually showing that it had irregular heart rhythm. We do have like murmurs and PFOs that run in our family. Like I have one, my daughter has one, my mom has one. So I was so they ended up calling the pediatrician, and they called the midwife in the middle of the night just to call them in to make sure everything was okay. So they ordered ECG and some blood work and just some extra testing on him just to make sure everything was good. So they're closely monitoring that for the rest of our stay. By the time we left though, they couldn't hear it anymore. It sounded normal. Since then, both babies have actually gone for echoes and everything is fine. They just go back in a year for a follow-up. So that was good. And then of course our baby in the NICU, they were just kind of keeping an eye on his blood sugars. They were bottle feeding him over there with formula, which was probably like an okay thing because it was really helping get everything through him. He ended up going to the bathroom a lot with regards to them having a higher billy later on. So I'll explain that in a second. So they told us once the sugar on our second baby was fine that we were allowed to go home. So they were thinking that we would maybe even be able to go home the second day. Because I delivered later on in the day, they still needed to do the 24-hour blood work right after. So anyways, the blood work ended up not being great. His sugar kept dropping, so we did have to keep him in the NICU again. So he was in there for 2 nights, and we're still waiting on results. So the next day we were waiting, and they were going to let us go home, but then they decided that they should probably keep us because both babies ended up having an elevated bilirubin. So bilirubin is basically when their red blood cells are breaking down. So our red blood cells last for about 120 days on average. So they're going to break down, and the product from that is your bilirubin. So with babies, small premature babies, it's very common to have a high elevated bilirubin just because their little liver and everything isn't developed enough to break it down. So the only way to get it out is that it secretes out through their urine and their stools. So Dawson's wasn't too bad at the beginning. It was more Bo, our smaller guy, that they were worried about because he did have a good hematoma on his head, and it just basically was kind of like building up from all those red blood cells. So anyways, they ended up eventually, they gave him some phototherapy. So he ended up going back to the NICU. He came out with us for one afternoon, and they said he was good. But then because that bilirubin was high after the 24-hour blood work, then they decided to take him back. So it was kind of, he was with us and he was back there, then he was with us, and it was like, we thought our baby was finally going to be able to go home, but they kept saying, no, we need to wait. So which is fair. So if you have a high bilirubin and it stays up, it's very dangerous and it can cause brain damage in little babies. So they definitely want to stay on that. So little Bo, he went to the NICU and had full phototherapy done on him. So that's where they put him in the nice little blue light. Then the next day it ended up coming down a bit, so they actually let him, so the very last day, the last night we're there, so this is the third night, they let him come back in the room. So it was actually the first night I was on my own, and I had both. He was back in our room. It was just the blanket that was required. So some people might have had that where they put the little kind of goggles on the babies to protect their eyes, but just to help kind of break down that Rubin and get that number down. So we ended up by the third. So the third day we were there, third or fourth, third day. Sorry, it's all like, it's just seems like there was just so much little things that went on. So it was kind of like all over the place. But by the third day, they said that we could go home. But we had to make sure that we had blood work within like the next 24 hours to check on that Rubin again. So our midwife was able to actually come to our house and do that, which was really nice. But so we ended up getting discharged. We did wait all day to get discharged. We were kind of thought we'd be out in the morning. So it was kind of just a lot of waiting around and that anticipation of getting to go home. And then they say, no, sorry, you can't go home because whatever. But Dawson and myself, we actually got discharged on day 2. So we delivered the Thursday at 5 o'clock. And then we were actually discharged Saturday, but because we still had little Bo that was in there, they actually offered us a courtesy room, which was really nice of them. But because the hospital was not busy, they let us stay in the room that we were in, and we just got to stay there. And basically the only difference is that you're not getting like food or anything brought to you, which is fine. We can skip the hospital food, that's fine. So anyways, we finally did get to go home, which was really nice, and both babies were totally fine. The Billy dropped down. They were pooping a lot they were getting formula and breast milk. So between the two of them, it was really helping secrete everything out of them, and they were totally fine. So that was our hospital stay. I feel like the NICU is people hear about it, and it's just can be kind of daunting and scary because a lot of situations, babies are in there for a long time, and my heart goes out to those parents. We were very fortunate that our little guy was only in there for 2 nights, but still, even at that, it's just you want your baby with you, and to have one baby with you and one baby not with you, it's just it's sad. But anyways, we are all home safe and sound now, and that's all that I have for that story. So make sure you're subscribed, like this video if you liked it, and thanks for watching. Okay, bye.